Emma stood in the dim light of her living room, flipping through the glossy pages of her wedding album. The photographer had outdone himself. Every picture seemed to radiate happiness, love, and promise. Her heart swelled with pride and nostalgia as she paused on an image of her and her new husband, Alex, sharing their first dance as a married couple. But then her gaze lingered on something or someone in the background. At first, it was nothing more than a shadow of discomfort, a twinge of something she couldn't quite place. In the photo, Alex was beaming at her, but behind him, a bridesmaid, her cousin Chloe, wore a strange expression. It wasn't the joy Emma would have expected, it was something guarded, almost secretive. Her brows knitted together as she examined the image more closely. Maybe I'm imagining things, Emma murmured to herself, shaking her head. She closed the album but couldn't shake the feeling. There had been no reason to doubt Alex, not once in their 2 years of dating nor during their engagement. He was caring, attentive, and honest. Still, Chloe's expression haunted her. Emma decided to set the album aside and sleep on it, but sleep didn't come easily. Her mind kept wandering back to the wedding, replaying the moments she had cherished so deeply. The next morning, as she sipped her coffee, Emma resolved to look through the album again. It was probably nothing, but curiosity gnawed at her. She needed to confirm it for herself. Flipping through the pages again, Emma examined not just Chloe but everyone at the wedding. This time she began to notice a pattern. Chloe appeared in the background of several pictures, always close to Alex, closer than Emma had realized. In one picture, Chloe's hand was on Alex's arm, a gesture Emma initially thought of as friendly, but upon closer inspection it seemed intimate. Her heart began to race. "No," she whispered, "it's just coincidence." But now the idea had taken root in her mind and she couldn't let it go. Emma decided to investigate further. She remembered that her sister Lily had been live streaming parts of the wedding on social media. Surely there would be more candid footage. Pulling up Lily's account, Emma scrolled through the wedding videos. One clip caught her attention, a video of Alex and Chloe talking near the bar during the reception. They were laughing, and Chloe leaned in close to whisper something in his ear. Alex grinned and nodded. Emma replayed the clip multiple times. The exchange seemed innocent on the surface, but something about Chloe's body language unsettled her. Determined to prove her suspicions wrong or right, Emma started digging. Later that evening, Emma casually texted Chloe. "Hey, looking back at the wedding pictures, I noticed you spent a lot of time with Alex. You two seem to get along well." Chloe's response came quickly. "Yeah, Alex is great. I'm so happy for you two." The message seemed harmless, but Emma couldn't shake the sense of unease. She decided to test the waters. "Thanks, did you guys know each other before the wedding? You seemed so comfortable together." This time there was a noticeable delay before Chloe replied. "No, not really, just got to know him better during the wedding planning stuff. Anyway, how's married life treating you?" Emma stared at the screen. The avoidance in Chloe's answer was glaring. Over the next few days, Emma began piecing together subtle inconsistencies. She recalled moments during the wedding planning when Chloe had volunteered to help Alex with errands, a gesture Emma had appreciated at the time but now viewed through a different lens. To gather more clues, Emma decided to reach out to the photographer. "Hey, it's Emma. I absolutely love the wedding pictures. I was wondering if you had any additional candid shots that didn't make it into the album. Just curious." The photographer happily obliged, sending over a folder of unedited photos. As Emma scrolled through them, her stomach twisted. One image showed Alex and Chloe standing close together during the cocktail hour, their heads bent toward each other, engrossed in conversation. Another photo captured Chloe looking at Alex in a way that was undeniably intimate, a gaze filled with longing. Emma's chest tightened. Could this really be happening? Emma decided to confront Alex indirectly. That evening, while they were watching TV, she casually brought up the wedding. "Looking through the photos today," she said, keeping her tone light, "Chloe seemed to really enjoy herself. She's in so many of the pictures with you." Alex glanced at her briefly, his expression unreadable. "Yeah, she's your cousin. She was probably just excited for you." "True," Emma agreed, studying his face. "You guys seem to get along really well." Alex shrugged. "I guess I was just trying to be friendly." Something about the way he avoided her gaze sent a chill down her spine. That night, Emma lay awake, her thoughts spiraling. She decided it was time to take her investigation further. She would have to look beyond photos and into real evidence. Her first step was checking Alex's phone. While he showered the next morning, she unlocked it using the passcode she knew well. Her hands shook as she scrolled through his messages. Nothing suspicious. Feeling both relieved and frustrated, she was about to put the phone down when she noticed a messaging app she didn't recognize, an app Alex had never mentioned. Her breath hitched. The app was password protected, but Emma's mind raced with possibilities. She knew Alex well enough to guess some of his usual passwords. Her fingers flew over the screen, trying variations of their anniversary, his birthday, and his usual combinations. Finally, the app unlocked, and there it was. A string of messages between Alex and Chloe, dating back months before the wedding. Messages that left no doubt in Emma's mind that their relationship had crossed every line imaginable. The words blurred as tears filled her eyes. "How could he?" she whispered. Emma stared at the screen, her hands trembling. The messages between Alex and Chloe were a mixture of mundane exchanges and deeply personal confessions. Her eyes skimmed over fragments of their conversations. "I can't stop thinking about you. Are you sure she doesn't suspect anything? After the wedding, everything will be different, I promise." Emma's breath caught at the final message sent just days before the wedding. "It's you I want, but we have to wait. I can't do this to her yet." A wave of nausea rolled over her. This couldn't be real. Alex, the man she had trusted with her heart, her future, he had betrayed her. And Chloe, her cousin, someone she had grown up with and confided in, had been complicit. But why? Why had they gone through with the wedding if this was how they felt? The betrayal felt compounded by the cruel charade they had performed in front of everyone she loved. Emma closed the app and placed the phone back where she had found it, careful to leave no trace. Her mind swirled with questions, but one thing was clear: she needed answers. Emma knew she couldn't confront Alex yet, not without more information. She needed to piece together the full story before deciding what to do next. Her first step was to confide in someone she trusted. She called her best friend Sarah, who had been her maid of honor. "Hey, can you come over?" Emma asked, her voice trembling. "Of course," Sarah replied immediately. "Are you okay?" "I don't know," Emma admitted. I need you here." Within an hour, Sarah arrived, her concern evident. Emma wasted no time, showing her the photos and recounting everything she had discovered. When she finished, Sarah was speechless, her face a mix of anger and disbelief. "I can't believe this," Sarah said finally. "Chloe and Alex, this is insane. I need to figure out how far this goes," Emma said, her voice steadier than she felt. "I need proof, something undeniable." Sarah nodded. "Okay, let's think this through. If they've been sneaking around, there's probably more evidence. Emails, social media, even bank statements if they've been meeting up somewhere." Encouraged by Sarah's support, Emma felt a renewed sense of determination. Together, they devised a plan to uncover the truth. Over the next few days, Emma quietly gathered evidence. She checked their shared bank account for any unusual transactions. One stood out: a series of charges at a small cafe in a neighborhood neither she nor Alex frequented. Emma visited the cafe under the guise of wanting to try a new place. She brought a photo of Alex and Chloe with her, claiming they were friends she had lost touch with. The barista confirmed seeing them together multiple times over the past year. Meanwhile, Sarah helped Emma comb through old social media posts and photos. In one group photo from Chloe's birthday party, Emma noticed a detail she had overlooked before. Alex and Chloe were standing closer than anyone else, their hands almost touching. But the final piece of the puzzle came unexpectedly. Emma had been sifting through her wedding day memories when she remembered the videographer. She contacted him, asking if he had any unused footage. "I'm trying to put together a more complete video for my parents," she explained. The videographer was happy to oblige, sending over hours of raw footage. Emma and Sarah spent an entire evening watching every second of it, looking for clues, and then they found it. One clip filmed during the reception, Chloe and Alex were alone near the back of the venue, away from the main crowd. They were talking in hushed tones, their faces inches apart. The videographer had clearly caught this by accident as the camera panned away moments later. But those moments were enough. Chloe's words were faint but audible. "I hate seeing you with her." Alex responded, "Just wait, soon it'll be different." With undeniable proof in hand, Emma knew the time had come to confront Alex. That evening, she set the stage. She prepared dinner as usual, maintaining an air of normalcy, but her mind raced with how to approach the conversation. When Alex came home, he greeted her with a kiss on the cheek, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath her calm exterior. "How was your day?" he asked, settling into his usual spot at the dining table. Emma placed a plate in front of him, her movements deliberate. "Interesting," she replied, sitting across from him. Alex looked up, sensing the tension in her tone. "Something wrong?" She met his gaze, her expression unreadable. "I've been looking through the wedding photos." "Yeah," he said cautiously. "And the videos," she added, watching his reaction closely. Alex froze, his fork halfway to his mouth. "What video?" "The ones the videographer gave me," Emma said, her voice steady. "And the ones Lily posted, they show some interesting moments." Alex set his fork down, his face pale. "Emma, what are you talking about?" She pulled out her phone, opening the clip of him and Chloe at the reception. She pressed play and slid the phone across the table. Alex watched in silence, his expression shifting from confusion to panic. When the clip ended, he looked up at her, his mouth opening and closing as he struggled for words. "Emma, I don't," she interrupted, her voice sharp. "Don't lie to me, I've seen the messages, I know everything." Face crumpled, and for the first time Emma saw guilt written plainly across his features. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." Emma's heart clenched, but she refused to let her emotions overpower her resolve. "How long?" Alex hesitated, then lowered his head. "Almost a year." Emma felt the world tilt beneath her. A year, all that time she had been living a lie. "And Chloe," she demanded, "what does she mean to you?" Alex hesitated again, then sighed. "It was never supposed to go this far." "But Stop," Emma said, her voice shaking. "I don't want excuses, I want the truth." Emma sat across from Alex, her knuckles white as she gripped the edge of the table. She had demanded the truth, and now it hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Chloe and I, Alex began struggling to meet her gaze. It started as a mistake. At first, it was just harmless flirting at family gatherings. I didn't think it would go anywhere. But then you decided to destroy our lives, Emma snapped, her voice icy. Alex flinched. It wasn't like that. I didn't mean for it to happen. I love you, Emma. I married you because I love you. Emma's laugh was hollow, bitter. You love me? Do you even hear yourself? You've been lying to me for an entire year, sneaking around with my cousin, and you expect me to believe you love me. Alex's face crumpled. I know I've hurt you. I'll do anything to make it right. Please just let me explain. Emma leaned back, crossing her arms. Fine, explain, but don't expect me to forgive you. Alex took a deep breath, his voice trembling as he spoke. It started last Christmas at your parents' house. Chloe and I were both drunk, and one thing led to another. I didn't know how to stop it after that. Every time I tried to end it, don't you dare blame this on her, Emma interrupted, her eyes blazing. She didn't make you cheat on me. That was your choice. You're right, Alex said quickly. I'm not blaming her. I'm just trying to explain. It was wrong, and I knew it was wrong, but I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me, Emma repeated incredulously. Do you even hear how ridiculous that sounds? You didn't want to hurt me, so you lied to me, cheated on me, and married me while you were still seeing her. Alex buried his face in his hands. I was scared. I thought if I went through with the wedding, I could move past it. I thought I could be the husband you deserve. Emma's stomach turned at his words. The husband she deserved? How could he possibly believe this was acceptable? After hours of arguing with Alex, Emma had heard enough. She demanded he leave the house, at least for the night. Once he was gone, Emma collapsed onto the couch, her body trembling from the emotional toll. Sarah, who had been waiting nearby in case Emma needed support, came in and sat beside her. Are you okay? She asked gently. No, Emma admitted, but I'm not done yet. The next morning, Emma called Chloe. Hey, Chloe answered, her tone cheerful and oblivious. What's up? We need to talk, Emma said, her voice sharp. In person, Chloe hesitated. Oh, okay, what's going on? You'll find out, Emma said curtly. Meet me at the cafe on Main Street in an hour. When Chloe arrived, Emma was already seated, a coffee in front of her untouched. Chloe approached the table with a nervous smile. Emma, you're scaring me. What's this about? Emma looked up, her expression cold. Sit down. Chloe obeyed, her unease growing. I know, Emma said bluntly. Chloe froze, her face pale. You know what? Don't play dumb, Emma snapped. I know about you and Alex. I've seen the messages. I've seen the footage. I know everything. Chloe's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. How could you do this to me? Emma demanded, her voice rising. You're my cousin. We grew up together. I trusted you. I didn't mean for it to happen, Chloe whispered, tears pooling in her eyes. It just happened. I'm so sorry, Emma. Sorry, Emma repeated, her voice trembling with fury. You're sorry? You've been sneaking around with my husband for a year and now you're sorry. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? Chloe broke down, sobbing. I know I've hurt you. I hate myself for it. But I swear I never wanted to ruin your life. Emma stared at her, her heart a mix of rage and despair. Well, congratulations, she said coldly. You've succeeded. After the confrontation with Chloe, Emma felt both a sense of relief and a deep, aching sorrow. She had the truth now, but it didn't make the pain any less sharp. Over the next few days, she began to take control of her life. She contacted a lawyer to discuss her options for an annulment or divorce. She leaned on Sarah and her family for support, carefully deciding who she could trust with the truth. Alex continued to reach out, begging for forgiveness, but Emma ignored his messages. Chloe, too, sent lengthy apologies, but Emma couldn't bring herself to respond. In the quiet moments when the house was still and the weight of betrayal pressed down on her, Emma began to rebuild herself. She threw herself into her work, rediscovered hobbies she had neglected, and surrounded herself with people who truly cared for her. The road ahead was long, and Emma knew she would carry the scars of this betrayal for the rest of her life. But she also knew one thing for certain: she would not let Alex or Chloe define her future. She was stronger than that. Sophie sat at the dining table, the envelope from the private investigator trembling in her hands. The weight of her discovery felt like a storm brewing within her chest. The thought that the man she had vowed to spend her life with had betrayed her in such an insidious way made her stomach churn. It wasn't just a betrayal of their love, it was a betrayal of the very foundation of trust they had built together. She opened the envelope and the contents spilled out. There were photos of Oliver and the woman Sophie now knew as Emily meeting in secret places. A cafe across town, the park near their house, and even in the hotel where Sophie and Oliver had once celebrated their anniversary. The timeline matched her suspicions. Their relationship had been ongoing for months before the wedding and continued into their marriage. The last photo was dated 3 days before Sophie found the mysterious bracelet in their car. Her breath hitched, but she steadied herself. She was done crying. This was the moment she would confront him. That evening, Sophie waited for Oliver to come home. She had prepared herself with a calm exterior despite the tempest raging within. When he walked through the door, his cheerful demeanor almost made her falter. Hey love, he said, leaning in for a kiss, but Sophie pulled away. The confusion in his eyes quickly shifted to concern. What's wrong? Sophie reached for the stack of photos she had placed on the coffee table. She didn't need to say a word. She simply handed them to him. Oliver's face went pale as he flipped through the images. His mouth opened but no words came out. "Don't bother lying," Sophie said, her voice icy. "I've seen enough." "Sophie," he started, but she cut him off. "Who is she, Oliver, and how long has this been going on?" He ran a hand through his hair, visibly panicking. "It's not what it looks like," he stammered. Sophie let out a bitter laugh. "Really? Because it looks like you've been sneaking around with another woman for months, through our engagement, through our wedding, and right up until now." Oliver dropped the photos onto the table, his shoulders slumping in defeat. "Her name is Emily," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. We dated years ago before I met you. She reached out a few months before the wedding. I didn't know how to tell you." "So you just didn't?" Sophie snapped. "You decided lying and cheating were better options." "It wasn't like that," he pleaded. "At first it was just catching up, but things got complicated." "Complicated?" Sophie echoed, her voice rising. "Do you have any idea what you've done to us?" Oliver sank into the chair opposite her, his hands trembling. "I didn't want to hurt you, Sophie. I love you. I swear it's over. I ended it weeks ago." She shook her head, tears welling in her eyes despite her resolve to remain strong. "You don't get to say you love me when you've been lying to my face every single day." There was silence between them, thick and suffocating. "What do you want me to do?" Oliver asked finally. "Tell me how to fix this and I'll do it." Sophie looked at him, her heart breaking. "You can't fix this, Oliver. Trust isn't something you can glue back together once it's been shattered. You made a choice that showed me exactly where I stand in your life." The following days were a blur for Sophie. She reached out to close friends and family, sharing the truth of her situation. Their support was a lifeline as she navigated the painful process of deciding what to do next. Eventually, Sophie moved out of their shared apartment and filed for an annulment. It wasn't an easy decision, but it was the right one for her. She knew she deserved more than a love built on lies and betrayal. Months later, Sophie sat in a cafe, sipping her coffee as the morning sunlight streamed through the windows. She was healing, little by little. The scars of Oliver's betrayal were still there, but she was learning to live with them and, more importantly, to trust herself again. As she closed her journal, a man at the next table smiled at her. Sophie smiled back. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was a step forward. For the first time in a long time, she felt hope.